new designs in historic districts. I can read it if you like.
Sure, feel free.
Standard 9 states that a new design should be differentiated from the old. This is sometimes taken to an extreme when applicants propose a contemporary design that would distinctly stand apart from the existing buildings in the district, drawing attention to itself instead of working as part of the ensemble of buildings. In a district with a long period of significance and many different building styles, it's easy to make an argument for the distinctive contemporary design. In a district with more consistent building styles and with little new construction, this becomes more difficult. The degree to which such a building would stand out and not be compatible can be measured somewhat, but is also subjective. I don't think it's given us an answer. I'll just read a little more here and maybe it'll clarify a bit. Still, designs reflecting contemporary styles and taste should use siding, massing, proportion, and materials to achieve compatibility with the surrounding district, and should be communicated clearly with the public what is required to make a contemporary design be a compatible design. As with any design, it is important not to water down the concept so that it turns into a mediocre ghost of the initial proposal, which I don't think you're doing. But the goal should be to allow the applicant's vision to come through so that he or she is satisfied with the process while aligning the design with the guidelines and standards. The rest of it goes into citing different examples and the discussion that's what's going on for the last hour.
Thank you. I have read that. Yeah.
Okay, well, what's your, how do you feel it fits in with the Secretary of the Exterior's design standards? That particular, number 9, what I just read.
I think 9 is more about landmark structures rather than landmark districts. Is that correct?
Oh, it's new construction in districts. That's what
In districts,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what this one was. Yeah. Because if you can make the case, I think that's
Yeah.
the discussion.
I think going in, I didn't want to make this a stockade house. And it started off as not a stockade house already. I think the idea was to try to achieve that balancing act and try to achieve all 3 goals, the district, the house itself, and the new construction. So I think that's part of the reason why you don't see the addition go all the way across, or the addition go onto the first floor, or the addition go very high. And that's also a reason why you don't see the addition being very small, or the addition being completely hidden. I think the idea and what I'm trying to achieve is that balance, so that when you see it, you say, I recognize this as not being part of the Stockade Historic District. It's not contributing. And similarly, how you looked at this one and said, this is not contributing. I didn't want to try to put stone on the house.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I wanted anyone to, I wanted Ed Wood, who came up to me and gave me a 1981 real estate photo of this house on last Wednesday. I wanted him to be able to come out to this house and say, oh, I remember what the house used to look like. Because the addition is respectful to that, as well as to being in the historic district. And I think it does it. I think and like you said, I don't think I would want to water it down, because I think balance-wise it's at that place where if you make it smaller, it's going to lose its significance, and if you make it larger, it's going to overwhelm its significance. So that's what I'm trying to get, is that balance. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I think I do, actually. And I mean, initially, when we were at the Heritage Commission, I looked at it, I was like, whoa, that's interesting. Ooh, let me look at that again. But you gave us a very thorough presentation at the Heritage Commission, and you did reference the architectural vocabulary so that I could understand it. I think one of the questions that comes up is, will the general public understand it?
Right, right.
So us as a commission, we have to be able to justify, what we're doing.
That's true, and that's
yeah.
a struggle
That's
for
why
a
I
lot
asked
of,
you that question.
that's a struggle for a lot of designers is,
Yeah.
you don't have the opportunity to stand in
Right.
front of your design and explain it to every person who walks by. But I would hope that unconsciously,
Mhm.
even if you don't go, oh yeah, you sense it.
You want people to look at it and not have their backs to it.
They can put their backs to it if they want, but turn around and look at it too.
I don't think that's the goal of a non-contributing structure in an historic district. I mean, for me, and I think I've been very clear, so I won't belabor it too much, it's jarring for me and it draws attention to itself in its exceptions, and its many exceptions. Conceptually, I appreciate the references within the Cape sort of to itself and the modifications. It's almost a deconstruction of a Cape in some ways, but you're keeping elements of the existing building to be able to be very clear that those elements are 1950s Cape.
Right, call that historical indexing.
Right. But in the Stockade District itself, it seems visually jarring to me if it's completed as it's proposed. The existing house is incongruous, yet relatively neutral for me. And that's the better goal, in my mind, in a historic district that's so significant. If a house or a structure is not conforming or is not contributing, then it should just sort of blend in and sort of be. So for me, the simple form of the existing structure is underwhelming as it kind of is. It in many ways mimics what's happening along the streetscape. And so at least it sort of has that kind of integrity to itself as a structure. So it mimics roof shapes, has harmonious overall building facade, has symmetry, and a general sort of mostly, but not entirely, symmetrical fenestration patterns that are visible within the immediate district. So I can't see this as being anything but a sort of, not, let me rephrase that, I see this as being a jarring sort of addition to a district that is already a pretty showy district and really would benefit from something that, if it's not going to be a contributing structure recedes a bit as the existing building does. So.
Well, I wanted it to be contributing to the neighborhood, even if it's not contributing to the historic character. So there's two things at play. There's making modifications and design changes to the house to make someone who would approach the house say, I understand looking at this house that it's not contributing to the historical character, but it's not detracting from it either. It's contributing to the neighborhood, but not distracting from the historical character. So that's where it comes into simple planes, monochromatic color scheme. The idea is to try to play that balance between giving someone the idea, no way is this contributing to the historic district, or that this house wasn't either. I mean, this could have been an old house that someone just messed up in the 50s and turned it into this. Could have been, but it was built in the 50s. But this says you can still put your back to me while you're pointing at the old stone houses all you want, but there's still a friendly face on this house, on the street for the neighbors.
All right.
I felt like I just did the last scene in any movie.
You want us to roll credits?
Everybody jumps to their feet.
Wow, all right, this is, I'm not seeing unanimity among us, and I think that we're not going to get unanimity. So I am going to throw it open and ask who would like to make a motion, either opposing, oh, that's right, you had wanted, do we have any further questions? Thank you for your patience with us on this one. This is, I don't think we've had one quite like this ever, at least in my 20 years here. So, if we have no further questions, are there comments from the public on this project? I know, Tanya, you have.
Oh, thanks. I noticed that this house has a lawn, there's a couple, two questions. It has a lawn, snow storage.
Sure.
Are you thinking of putting brick like the house, that many of the other houses around it, or putting lawn? And I understand that it's gonna be bluestone. And then I have another question after that.
Well, yeah, right now there's grass all the way up to the house on either side.
Mm.
So where the porch is, obviously not grass, but there would be, I would imagine this to be ground cover in the front because it's such a small piece of grass. And on this side, it would remain lawn.
And what about the part that's between the bluestone sidewalk, that will be a new
The
bluestone?
tree lawn?
The tree, yeah.
The tree lawn will stay as is. I mean, we do our best to mow them and
Yeah.
seed them, but they're kind of gross.
I noticed that the other buildings have, and you said that you're gonna put bluestone instead of the cement, did you say that? A lot of the other buildings have bluestone and brick
And
that's
this brick. Right.
Yeah. So I wondered about that.
I don't think I have jurisdiction over putting anything in the tree lawn. I think that's the city thing. I'm not
You're
sure.
responsible for the sidewalk, you don't own it, but you're responsible for it.
We don't have any brick on Green Street though.
No.
On Green Street, I don't think
There
there's-
is,
On our side.
right near the corner of Lucas Ave, there is some section of that. It's not very extensive, but
You
it's there.
Okay.
can do it, we just would have to get a sidewalk permit.
Okay.
But it might be another piece if everyone else has just the
Yeah.
lawn, the green lawn, just to keep it
Maybe,
uniformity.
it doesn't look to me like everyone else has the green lawn, the house next door,
Well,
if you're
it's a
looking at the
brown lawn.
house. But, yeah,
It's a lot of dead grass.
if you're looking at your house,
Yeah.
the house to the right, the blue house,
Yes.
has brick. And then the house to the left has, I think, lawn growing through brick. Oh no, it has weird, it
It's
has,
grass, right?
Just grass.
it has a hard surface with weeds. It's like, sorry, whoever that is
I think
here.
there's ground cover in there too, and some old ivy that was
Yes.
growing that's been removed.
Yeah,
But I'm not talking about, between the house and the sidewalk,
There's
but
on
the
between the
house.
sidewalk and the street.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's just, that there's so many houses there that have that brick next to the bluestone and not many that have the grass next to the bluestone.
Mhm.
So I wondered about that. The other thing that I also noticed is that there's no tree in front of that house, which was mentioned, and it's in front of all the other houses. Is that, I know that the HLPC does deal with plantings, and would that help to integrate the house into the streetscape if it contributed to the tree canopy? Down the line, of course, you couldn't put a big tree in right away, but a tree that could grow that tall.
I would never plant a tree in the tree lawn on Green Street because every tree's been destroyed because it grows up into the power lines, and every tree looks like this on the street, and I think it's sad for the tree itself. I don't think I would ever plant a tree in the tree lawn under those power lines.
yeah, the
It just-
only one
it's just like the
would
worst
have to
thing
be
ever.
like a dwarf,
Yeah, it'd be
Pear
like
or
an
something like that.
ornamental or something.
yeah.
I'm not anti-tree, I'm just anti-tree under the power line.
Well, it's still.
Yeah, as the owner of a building there, my sycamore will die soon if they trim it back
Yeah. They're all
any
lines.
much more, yeah.
And I
It's-
wish the city would do something with that, but
We
it
could
still
bury the
does
power
have a,
I would love that.
in terms of the way that the street is formed, it still does put a ceiling on the street, which is important in terms of the feeling of being on a city street to have a tree there. so I don't think it's worthless to have a tree. So that was my comment.
Thank you kindly. Anyone else?
This one.
Oops, yeah, thank you. If you could identify
Sure,
yourself.
my name is Alana Blum. I am a colleague and friend of Jim's.
Should have told me
That's okay.
I just want to say that and he knows this already, I think his existing house is an eyesore. And I think that what he is proposing elevates the whole area. I appreciate modernism, I appreciate historicism, and I think that it will be, like Jim says, an attraction for those of us who like to explore modern architecture in the context of the historic neighborhood. I think it is gonna just make the whole district more interesting, the whole street, and I think that it respects the neighbors and the aesthetic. It may not be for everyone, but I don't know, I think it elevates the street. That is my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
So yeah, I live next door. I've spoken with the neighbors in the Dumont house and the neighbors in the Van Kuren house, and everyone is pretty supportive of this. I personally like the design. I like the fact that, you know, Kingston is not colonial Williamsburg. You can sit in rough draft and sit in a really old academy building and see a mural on BSP. And I think that's one of the things where Kingston does history differently and does it well. And I think this house kind of reflects that in my opinion. That's what I think.
All right, one more.
Sorry. My name is Carrie. I'm also a friend of Jim's and frequent visitor to this neighborhood, both for retail and for restaurants and bars and visiting my friends. And when I look at this house, I feel like, well, what are the alternatives? You could restore the Cape Cod, which does not match the neighborhood. You could do a fake colonial house, a fake stone house, which I think is probably an insult to the actual historic houses that are there. And I think that this also shows that there is an investment in this neighborhood. And Kingston has such an artistic community that I feel like this also speaks to the creativity and uniqueness of a lot of people who live in Kingston, a lot of different, like just Jen said, the murals that are around. So I think it definitely adds to it. This is never going to be a historic building. It's not going to be a stone building. So what are our alternatives here? Leave it like an eyesore, or make it actually something that's a little more creative? And again, that shows forward thinking, that shows modernism with a nod to the past, and that shows the creativity that we're trying to, encourage in Kingston.
Thank you kindly.
I'd just like to say very good presentation, and I like his
Oh,
future, our future.
all right.
Combination, I'm a historical guy too, so it balances. So you don't drive this just looking straight down the street, you could say, it's a little different, vice versa. And in modern, because I'm sure like the older style houses could cost a little more in maintaining, especially heating wise too. Right? But I respect them, but I like his plan and his thoughtfulness and willing to work with you as far as like coming to the board.
All right. This has been a fairly unique presentation. Thank you so much. It's down to us, and I just want to read out what we have to do here in terms of the final bit of city code. It's the further duty of the commission to exercise its judgment in a manner that maintains the desirable character of the landmark district and prevents construction, reconstruction, alteration, or demolition out of harmony with existing buildings insofar as character, material, color, line, and details are concerned, and thus to, and they like to put this in italics, preserve the beauty of the character of our landmark district. So that's our charge here, and it's an interesting balancing act. We haven't had this kind of combination of styles that I can remember. Since the county office building landed in the middle of the stockade. So,
That's different.
would someone, I will entertain a motion either in support or in opposition.
Seeker.
Ah, thank you, Seeker. All right. I will move that we classify this as a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. I'll pass that around. Let me sign.
No, you don't sign yet.
Ah, she's got to set it up for me. I'll get
Sign
used to
at the end.
this. I'll get used to this. All right, and now we need to focus in on the proposal itself. It's detailed. I think we've exhausted. Are there any further questions or comments that members wish to make? If not, I'll entertain a motion either in support or in opposition.
How detailed does the motion have to be in terms of referencing all of the details and specifications?
I think we should, even, he's given us specifications in the presentation. Are those all in the file as well? You've
They
seen
are
it?
in the file.
Okay, then I think you can make a
And I'll
reference.
note that we went through the sections, each of these sections.
What I'd like you to do is reference what you think are the most important criteria in favor or in opposition in your findings of fact.
I make a motion to approve the renovation proposed project for 141 Green Street as presented by James Fish. Including an expanded second floor addition of approximately 400 square feet, an energy retrofitted remainder of existing residence, including air sealed exterior insulation, and proposed replacement of front porch, driveway, and front sidewalk with the materials specified.
And using the criteria that,
And using the criteria from section 405-64B of the City of Kingston Code.
Towards the end, the bottom wording is the preservation notice of action wording.
right,
And based on the preceding finding of fact, move that the Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission grant a preservation notice of action to James T. Fish.
May I propose an amendment? I believe you wish to change the material that you're using in the driveway. Did I remember that correctly?
yes, he did say that. Well, he's gonna keep it pavement.
If I keep it, how do I change it? Can we-
Right now,
could it
you've
be approved as-
specified,
Right, I mean, if I go with it as drawn, and then I change it and come back, just for that one thing?
or you can, are you
Amend it.
proposing to, is the alternative to repair what you have?
Yes,
Typically with a repair in kind, you don't need to come back to
No.
us.
okay,
So do you want us to approve this possibility of the new,
yes.
okay.
Oh, no, wait, huh?
The,
Have
what
it-
is one,
have it
the
around.
greencrete, I think is the phrase?
Yeah, I don't want the grass screen,
Okay,
so just leave it out, yeah.
with that amendment, deleting the driveway material, is that acceptable to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
How about the turquoise door?
What about it?
I did like your notion of maybe going a little closer on the colors.
Yes.
We're lower.
Yes. Or-
You know, second.
That'd be much better.
Have we settled in? Are you satisfied? All right, do I have a second? Second from Julie. All right, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Motion carries. Now you can sign.
Did I get it?
You weren't counting noses, really?
Thank you very much.
Yes or no?
And one.
Yeah. And then we have the CLG.
Yes.
I have to just-
I'd like to draw folks' attention to our certified local government report,
No, that's the same.
with many thanks to Marissa for pulling it together. I think we should, I'm happy with it. I don't think we discussed it in any detail, but I think we need to send this in shortly to our friends in Albany. Yes, I would like a motion.
I move that we submit the CLG annual report as prepared by Emerson Valley to SHPO.
And we will be directing you to do that, or
I will
do I
do
have to do that? Okay.
I
All right, then I'd like a second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. So you have one more motion that you need us to sign on to, am I right?
Yeah.
And that was
for-
Yeah, it was actually due in March, but they generally give us some leeway.
As
The other things that I'd like to discuss from it is proposal for Fair Street and what we have to do to clean up that one report so that we can start applying for grants again. Melissa actually had been talking about trying to finish it herself in her spare time, but she didn't have
You're
any.
talking about the Midtown?
The Midtown report. Yeah, we need to figure out how that is going to get done.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have, now we have a budget in, that
Should-
is slowly growing. We could hire a consultant to resolve that.
The consultant at the time was Jack Brownline. I don't know if his health is good enough to expect him to finish this the way they want.
Well, I think it probably might have to be someone else because they need the context. That's what's lacking, is the contextualization of the findings, essentially.
Right. And are we familiar with anyone that we would want to try approaching here?
That's Neil Larson. He's the one who I think is working on the Fair Street. He works in Marbletown as well.
Okay.
He did the Chestnut Street District for SHPO way back in the day.
Okay, so he would be familiar with their normal requirements and be able to, and be
Oh, yeah.
knowledgeable enough that we're not starting from square one with someone like him. I think that's a great suggestion. Does anyone else think about that?
Right.
I don't know him.
Do you have his contact information?
Yes,
Can you
yeah,
email it to me?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
the city, it's a city contract, it has to go through their typical processes, so you're the obvious person to reach out. But I think that that's an important point, and that will open some additional grant opportunities for the city once we get
Yeah,
this
it has to
taken
be
care
cleaned
of.
up.
And I think that that's important for us
I
as
have
a,
a budget question. I mean, I'm looking at.
Wait,
Okay.
There we go.
What is the source of our budget?
we apparently have fees.
Application.
We didn't know this all
Oh.
these years.
Okay.
Well, your
All right.
fees are not the
Well-
source of your budget. Your fees go into the general fund, and then you have to, on an annual
And then,
basis.
but there is a
request
budget, there's a line.
Well, we have had line items, there were only 2 years in which we were zeroed out, and they are far in the past, thank God. But, this would be something a little different than has been built into our budget, so we would have to somehow justify it, and I think the obvious justification.
They're out of order, so. just
Okay,
pay
thank
attention to what
you.
you're signing.
This was the unanimous one. And
Oh, I
the,
see. Yeah, you wanted, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole right through.
you were definite, Jane, I tell you.
No, I was intense.
Subway token?
I wasn't.
Okay,
I
so
wasn't
you'll
definite.
follow up on that?
No,
Well,
no, I don't
yeah,
think so.
I guess Kevin's gonna email me, so.
Great. because I think that that's an overall benefit to the city that we as a board can uniquely provide. The other question is, so getting that report finished, and we have, and this is the same guy who has already been in touch about the idea of getting the Fair Street District nationally recognized.
I believe so.
Well, what's happening with that is that, through the Kingston Land Trust, we submitted an application to the Preservation League, and the initial response was favorable, but it has to go to a committee.
Okay.
So, we don't know what this committee's gonna do. There could be 100 other applications from all over the state.
So,
Because we've done what we can
But
do
I
in
don't
designating it locally.
or who will actually,
Well, Neil would do it,
Okay.
that was the proposal. Neil would
okay,
do
that's
it.
what I thought.
I was managing it for Kingston Land Trust with Julian Farr, so that's where we left that.
And is that, let's see. So it's its own separate process. Will they want us to indicate our support when it, is that useful?
Mayor Noble gave us a letter of support. We had a March 25th deadline, so we were just like, let's get this thing out and rolling really fast. And, the mayor gave us a letter, which should suffice for the city of Kingston,
Right.
Yeah.
for this
Great.
board, your office, Dan's office, and Brenna's office, wherever we have to go.
Okay,
We didn't
great.
have time to be going door to door to get all the letters of support.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Like
It's
we do
unclear
with
to
the
me what
CFA.
stage it
Yeah,
was
like we
in.
would do with the CFA, this was, Marissa was working on this, and she did a lot of the initial legwork, putting it together. And then, I finished it up with the land trust, so we just had to move quickly.
Excellent. All right, then there's nothing for us to submit with any formality. It's just thank you for the update, and I'm glad to see it moving forward. And if there is something that we can provide in the process, we'll be relying on you to let us know.
Yeah,
Is that
if
okay?
we get a comeback and they want additional letters of support or something like this, yeah, we'll definitely be back.
All right, sounds great. I appreciate it. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Thank you. This was a
So,
long one, but this was an interesting one.
Was that an HLPC meeting? Or was that an HLPC meeting?
This is HLPC only.
All right.
Yeah, they exist separately, they have not been merged. We're trying to learn each other's methods and rules.